Hello, the internet. All right, welcome to the bottom of the West Division. The top of the West Division, the North Division had some very interesting stuff happen. You might want to go back and check those out. For those who are watching this video and have not watched the other ones, this is a bracket elimination contest. This is the first round. My kid and I play each of these games. They're seated like a sports tournament, and we rate them on a scale from 1 to 10. So we add those up, so it's out of 20. And then we roll a 6-sided die, our buzzer beater die, if you will, and add half the value of that die so you can get an extra possible 3 points to see who wins the matchup. The winner moves on. Maybe. We'll see. In the first round, in order to move on to the second round, you have to score at least an 18.5 after the die roll, because if you don't, a team from the play-ins, we had seven of them score 18.5 or better, will steal your spot. So the winner has to score high enough. Right now, we have 3 that have made it into the tournament from the play-ins, and that is Burger Joint, Earth, and Zombie World. In the bubble right now from the play-ins are Twilight Imperium and Settlers of Catan Rivals, which is the card game. We'll see if either of those can make it today, or if all of these teams, the winners, will advance. In the case that we have a blowout, meaning that the winner wins by at least 2.5 points, the tiebreaker is the higher score before the die roll. Since you can only gain a maximum of 2.5 points, a 6-to-1 roll, then that team would automatically win the matchup. If that team scores an 18 or higher, it does not need to roll a die to determine whether it moves on to the next round or not, and we don't roll any dice for that particular matchup. All right, you with me? All right, so let's start off with the top of our lineup. We've got the 3-seed Castles of Burgundy, which is my third favorite game of all time, versus the 14-seed Magic the Gathering Arena of the Plainswalkers. Now, this is the expansion. You do have to play the base game to play expansion. I just grabbed this for simplicity, but we did play with both of the boxes. I'm going to be honest, the expansion didn't really feel like it added a lot to the game. And my kid basically ran his Planeswalker into me, and I one-shot it. So the game took shorter amount of time to play than it did to set up. As a result, it only scored a 14.5 and will be relegated to the play-ins next year. The reason for that, we had 16 teams score 15.5 or better in the play-ins. So unless we have more than 16 teams in the tournament out of 64 score under a 14, all of them will be relegated, as well as maybe 1 or 2, depending upon how many we end up with at the end, 15s. So 14.5, it'll be in the play-ins next year. Okay game, but it's more nostalgia for Magic the Gathering. If you like Magic the Gathering, probably like it. It's not exactly Magic the Gathering, but it's adjacent. If you don't like Magic the Gathering, it's a game that's going to go into your sell list. It really will. Love Castles of Burgundy, strategy game. You roll dice. From those dice, you decide what actions you're going to want. You want to put tiles on your board, and you score points based on how you do that. Very fun game. It's the kind of game that every time we play it, we like it more. And it scored a 19, which is tied for the highest score in the first round. And so that is obviously a blowout, because that is a 4.5 point win. So Castles of Burgundy very easily moving on to the next round and showing that it might be able to go to the distance. Because in this tournament, it's not just important to be fun for once. You got to be fun consistently, and Castles of Burgundy simply is. So keep your eyes on that one. We'll see what kind of havoc it causes in this tournament, especially in the West Division. Could it go to the Final Four? You might be looking at our first Final Four. But that's a long ways. We got a few more games to go before we get there. So, moving on to the 6-11 matchup, the winner of which takes on Castles of Burgundy, if any of them score at least high enough to actually make it. As I've said in previous videos, the 6-7s are the ones that are most at risk of not making it to the next round. Usually because the lesser game is not going to score super high. It's not going to score high enough to have a reasonable chance. And so usually it's all up to the 6 seed and all up to the 7 seed, not the 10 and 11. However, this round has been a pretty good round. These matches have been pretty good. Planet Defenders is a resource management, robot management game where you try to buy robots and buy abilities and stuff like that and score points. Very fun game, especially with kids, Adults, it's okay. Kids, it's great. Fun little game. You got the little robots that you move around the board. Well, they're not so little. They're pretty big size. Pretty good game, especially when you pick it up for cheap. My local game store recently had it for $10. I'm like, man, if I didn't have that game already, I would buy it. Kingdom Builder is a game where you play settlements, and each game has different scoring criteria because you draw 3 different cards from a deck of cards that each card has a different scoring criteria. And so each game is a little bit different, has slightly different strategies. The boards come out different, have different abilities, each side of the board. So it's a very interesting game. It's one of those games that is getting better every time we play it. And so this was a very, very close matchup. Planet Defenders scored a 17 because it's a game we like very much. Kingdom Builder scored a 16. So here's what we're going to do with the dice. Our first die roll. Planet Defenders wins if it rolls within 2 of Kingdom Builder. So for Kingdom Builder to win, it has to roll 3 higher, because if it rolls 2 higher, they have the same score. Planet Defender wins on the tiebreaker. So if Planet Defender rolls a 4 or higher, it automatically wins. And because a 4 or higher would put it over the 18.5 point threshold, it would make it to the next round of the tournament. If it rolls a 3 and Kingdom Builder does not roll a 6, Planet Defenders wins and makes it to the next round. If it rolls a 1 or 2, even if it wins, it does not move on to the next round. Kingdom Builder, to move on to the next round, would have to roll a 5 or 6, and Planet Defenders would have to roll a 1 or 2. All right. Planet Defenders is going to be the green die. Kingdom Builder is going to be the white die. Who's going to make it to the next round? Planet Defenders, Kingdom Builder, or will we have Twilight Imperium from the play-ins officially punch their ticket into the second round of the tournament? And the die roll says... That is an upset, ladies and gentlemen. That is an upset for the ages. Kingdom Builder with a 5. 16 plus 5 over 2 is 18.5, which is enough to make it to the next round. Planet Defenders rolls a 2, which gives it an 18, which is not enough. Kingdom Builder wins the matchup, and Kingdom Builder will take on Castles of Burgundy in the next round. What an upset. This is perhaps the biggest upset we have ever seen. The 11 beats the 6 and moves on to the next round. We did see an 11 beat the 6 in the North Division. The 6s have not had a good run of it. Not a good run of it at all. But here we are. The 11 has won and moved in. What an interesting outcome. All right, let's see if we get another interesting one. We've got the 7-10. First class. A game with trains, and it's a really interesting game. Each round, you're going to pick a card. There's 18 cards to be picked over the course of the game. You could do something other than pick a card, but... and then you have different ways to score points. You have your locomotive, you have your conductor, you have the trains to play and upgrade and other things to do to score points. There's a lot of different ways to do strategies. There's 5 different modules. In each game, you play with the base cards in 2 of the 5 modules. So every game is very different, has a lot of replayability. This is another game that every time we play it, we like it just a little bit more, which is great, especially for these tournaments. Elder Sign is a game I've liked for a very long time. However, it is a game that sometimes, because it's based on die rolls, if you get some bad die rolls and you keep failing time after time after time and the game starts building up on you, you can find yourself in a position where you just get run over, or even if you win just barely, and the game just isn't any fun. It is not a game that is consistent. Last year, it was a 3 seed, and in the first round, it didn't play well, and it was the highest seed to get knocked out of the tournament. In fact, it performed so badly that it got dropped to a 10 seed this year. A 10 seed. So, can it come back? Can it get its revenge? Or will First Class take the game? So, First Class scored a 17. But as we just saw with Planet Defenders, a 17 does not guarantee a victory because you got to roll 3 or higher to have a chance. Elder Sign, a much closer game than even the last one, a 16.5. So it only needs to roll 2 higher in order to win. All right. Now, Elder Sign is going to be this die because if it rolls a 1, the Cthulhu awakens and we all die. So root for anything but a 1 on the black die. First Class will be the white die. All right. So who is going to move on? First Class, Elder Sign, or does Twilight Imperium finally punch its ticket into this tournament? And we only have 1 game after this for the halfway point of the first round. The dice roll says oh my, as Sulu would say from Star Trek. The dice giveth, and the dice taketh away. First Class rolls a 1, scoring a 17.5. Elder Sign gets its revenge with a 4, which gives it an 18.5. It wins the game and will move on to the next round of the tournament. For this half, the bottom half of the West, no teams from the play-ins are going to make it. Because San Juan, the 2 seed versus 15 seed Scrabble, was a blowout. San Juan, 18.5. Scrabble, we actually played Super Scrabble. Now, Super Scrabble is different enough from regular Scrabble that if my kid wanted it to, we could count them as separate games and play both of them. My kid vetoed that, so just 1 Scrabble game, and we'll probably play regular Scrabble next time because he thought that the Super Scrabble took a little bit too long. And we got to play with my youngest kid too, who would cry every time he was in last place. But that's another story for another day. But anyhow, so 18.5 for San Juan, 14.5 for Scrabble. Scrabble will be delegated to the play-ins next round. So that is 2 from the bottom half, and we had 2 from the top half. They get relegated, so 4 from the West Division. Add that to the 4 from the North Division, and so far in the first half of the tournament, we have 8 teams that will be relegated to the play-ins. At this pace, we'll have the full 16, which means all the 15s in the tournament will make it into the tournament next year, but the 15s in the play-ins will not. We would need more than 16 for that to happen. We have 3 that have been 3 seeds, a 5 seed, a 6 seed, and a 7 seed that have not made it to the next round, and that the winner of that game did not make it to the next round and will be faced by playing games. We have a 11 seed making it to the next round. We have a 10 seed making it to the next round. So this is very much shaping up like the equivalent sports tournaments. We're getting some upsets here, which is absolutely great. And if we have this much excitement in this round, just imagine how much excitement we're going to have in the second round. So San Juan will play Elder Sign in the second round. Castles of Burgundy will play Kingdom Builder in the second round. Could we see another upset? Could we see more chaos? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We just might. All right, until then, hopefully we'll get the next one next week, although it'll be a little bit harder because my kids go back to school. It's harder. We can't play 2 games a week anymore. We go back to 1 game a week. 2 games a day. We go back to 1 game a day. So it might be a little bit more than a week before we get to the next one. But we'll see the 1 seed in the next video, which is Penny Arcade. Let's see how Penny Arcade does in the first round. Until then, that's all for now.